and welcome back once again to After the Credits. Today we're talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. As you can see, all these little postcards and the top banner up there, which you can barely see, is all for Star Wars. So what did I think of this episode of Star Wars? It was a Star Wars film. Really have nothing more to say about it other than that. I know a lot of people have had issues with things in this movie or how it portrays certain characters, but honestly, I sat through it and I'm like, yeah, it seems like Star Wars to me. I don't really know what everyone's big complaint is. It kind of picks up where the last one left off. Rey goes to the island, finds Luke, asks for help, and he basically kind of tells her, no, I'm not going to go back, and she wants to know why, and at first he just kind of tells her to leave, but she keeps hanging around, being persistent, and eventually he's like, look, I'm not going to go back, but if you really want to be trained as a Jedi, I'll teach you what I know, and then you'll see why I don't want to go back. So he starts training her a little bit, and she's doing okay. Of course, she's Rey, so she automatically picks up on everything right away. But she also doesn't shy away from the dark side when it starts to present itself. And Luke kind of sees that, and he goes, you didn't even hesitate. You were just going to give into it. This is why I don't want to teach you, and kind of shied away again. And the whole time, somehow the Force is linking her and Kylo Ren's minds. So they're kind of having a falling out at first. But then Kylo Ren's kind of like, well, you found Luke. Has he told you what happened, why I did what I did? And she goes, I know enough. He goes, no, find out the whole story, then we'll talk again. So some more training stuff goes on, and then finally Luke tells her what happened, and she basically kind of tells him it's understandable, but that doesn't mean you should shut yourself off. You should come back and help. And he still refuses to help, so she communicates with Kylo Ren again, and then there's still some conflict in him. There's still some turning towards the light, and she kind of manipulates him a bit to where she wants to help him, and she knows he's not fully evil, and just to prove it, she'll surrender herself. So she goes back, surrenders, and finally we get a little bit more of the Snoke character, and he's basically kind of like telling Rey, you know, you're an idiot, you know, he's never going to turn against me, blah, 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 blah. And that's it. End of Snoke. Not going to tell you what happens, but all that lead up to who is Snoke, where does he come from, what's his secret origin, all this stuff that everyone's been wondering for the past however many months since the last movie came out. No, he's done. He's gone. That's it. Snoke's over. No big reveal. No nothing. It's just, oh, he was a somewhat Sith Lord, and now he's gone. No one cares. So then we find out that, spoiler, Kylo Ren's not going to turn to the good side. So Rey takes off and goes to help out the Resistance again, and the Resistance basically pinned down. Their numbers are the lowest they've ever been. There's only basically a splinter cell left. No one's coming to their aid, and basically Luke's not going to come back, so Leia's trying to figure out what to do next. And finally Luke shows up and tells Leia that I don't see any good left in Ben, so, you know, it is what it is. And Leia basically gives him permission, go ahead and kill my son. He's dark side now. There's no saving him, fuck him, whatever. So Luke goes out, has his confrontation with Kylo Ren, which, spoiler, allows the rebels to be able to escape, and that's basically the end of that conflict for now, and that's basically the end of the movie. I'm not going to tell you how the conflict resolves, but the rebels managed to escape, and that wraps up this film. So again, like the Empire Strikes Back and Attack of the Clones, the second one ends on the down note. You know, our rebellion is kind of decimated. We only have a splinter cell left. How are we going to rebuild from this? How are we going to take down the Empire? All the same stuff that happened in the other ones. It's in this one. I have a few other gripes with it, like Rey's overpowered use of the Force, like she just gets everything right from the start. She doesn't have to do any real training. For example, towards the end of the movie, she has to move this whole big pile of rocks, and she does it effortlessly. At first, she's like, oh, I gotta move rocks. And then it's just like, oh, all the rocks just fly out of the way. So it's like she didn't even really have to try, even though she seemed like she was not gonna be able to do it. But it's just like, oh, yep, they're out of the way now. And they had a perfect opportunity to kind of retell a segment from Empire or Return of the Jedi, I forget which one it was, because when she's on the island, she sees Luke's cruiser under the water, and they have a perfect opportunity to do the whole raising the fighter out of the swamp thing that they did with Luke and Yoda back in whichever film that was, and that she's struggling to lift things with her mind, and they could have just had it to where she's not able to do it. And then once she got to the point where she had to move all these rocks, she could have been like, oh crap, I have to lift things, I'm not going to be able to do this. But she tries anyway, and it's, oh, they actually move fairly easily because they're lighter weight rocks versus a billion-ton starship. But they just glance over that, you see it, and then nothing. So a lot of missed opportunities there. Maybe if J.J. Abrams was still attached to this one instead of being taken off of it, he could have continued whatever rehashed storytelling that he was going to do of the original trilogy. But yeah, so it ends on the down note. The rebellion's in shambles, but there's hope. Because there's always hope, because that's the point of Star Wars, a new hope. And that's basically the end. So it sets up for the next movie to a degree. You kind of want to know what's going to happen in the next movie. I can kind of see why people are down on this one. But again, they're expecting it all to be this big epic finale. And in the past two sets of trilogies, the second film always ends on the down note. The heroes are defeated, and the next film is them rising back up and overcoming the adversity. I don't know why people can't seem to grasp this. Every time they make a film of something, they're like, oh, it's nothing like the original. And it's like, have you seen the original? It's exactly like it. It's hitting all the same keynotes. But that's the dumbness of Weekend Warrior fans versus hardcore fans. And even when the hardcore fans are saying that they didn't like this, I don't understand why. Because all the arguments you give me make you sound like a Weekend Warrior fan. If you're a true fan, you'll understand it. You may not like it, you may not hate it. You'll be indifferent to it, like this guy. So what would I give it as far as a star rating? Like I said, I watched it and I was like, yep, this feels like Star Wars. Don't really care one way or another. It tells the next part of the story, and that's it. So I give it like 3.5, I guess. More or less just a middle-of-the-road film. Like I said, it ends on the down note, but that's why it gets a 3.5, is because it's following that format and not caving to what they think the audience wants when the audience doesn't know what it wants, because it assumes things without knowing. So yeah, that's really all I got to say about this one. Again, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Links are down in the description. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you get notifications every time I post new content. Until next time, we'll see you after the credits.